Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākinakina ki uta, ki mātaratara ki tai. E hi ake ana te atākura, he tio, he hoka, he hauhu, tihei, mauri ora. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou e aku rangatira. Warm Pacific greetings to you all. It's a real privilege to have the opportunity to make this contribution. A humbling opportunity to share some insights when it comes to the work that we do in our organisation, in our little corner of the world, and to share the things that we believe make our work unique. My name is Nathan Chong-Nee. I am the Clinical Manager at Genesis Youth Trust, an NGO of about 50 staff based in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, Aotearoa, New Zealand. I am a registered social worker, addictions practitioner, and an accredited clinical supervisor with 14 years experience in the sector. As many of us will know, social workers represent a profession that is deeply rooted in the principles of human rights, social justice, empowerment, liberation, anti-oppression, and anti-discrimination, as defined by the International Federation of Social Workers. The title of this presentation is Breaking Labels and Forging Futures, supporting positive change among Maori and Pacific youth who have criminally offended in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I would like to share a short video of one of these young people. Mackenzie is an amazing, young, powerful woman who has gifted us with part of her story and perspective. We will also hear from her youth mentor, Anne, who is a fundamental support in Mackenzie's journey of change.
I got in the wrong crowd, so I was like out smoking weed and wagging school and doing all of that. And then I started getting in trouble, more like I'd steal and then fight with my family and then run away and then go fight random people.
So I first met Michelle, Mackenzie's mum. Michelle actually came into the police station visibly upset and just asked for some help. Mum had signed her over to OT because she couldn't control her. And there were a couple of incidents with police there that were probably assaults police. Things were escalating, yeah. I was able to get a youth aid file and from there I could complete the referral to Genesis, so that was the first step.
When I first met Mackenzie, she was very angry at her mum, just angry in general. Really our first point of call was to help her establish good relationships. I would take her and, create that friendship with her and be that support, I suppose, and have that healthy relationship and show her what a healthy relationship is with another person and role model that to her.
At first I was I didn't believe in it. I was just like, nah, this is just gonna waste my time. This isn't gonna mean anything. But then I started interacting with other people that were coming into Genesis, and then it just started to get better from there. I've had few social workers in the past, and to them you sort of just feel like another number on the list. And then when you come here, you've got people that remember your name.
I think the more time that I spent with her, she just became quite confident. She's an amazing young person, and I think that's just the thing. If you believe in them, then they'll believe for something bigger for themselves. So I think here in Genesis Youth Trust, it's just very unique and very special what we do. We are all in it because of the heart that we have for our young people and for our families, and to see change.
We're police officers, we're not social workers. Without Genesis and the staff they have, there is no way we would be able to implement change. Without the early intervention, then these kids just tend to track down the wrong way, get in with the wrong peers, commit more crime. Things are a lot harder to turn around down the track.
I think more than anything, I think our young people, they feel us before they actually know us. It's the hugs, it's the kisses, it's the Whakafanongatanga when they come in, it's just whānau.
Yeah, it feels good to say that's in the past and I'm not like that anymore. I feel much more confident in myself because I know that I'm not gonna wake up in a cell or something. I've set some good boundaries and I don't think that I will ever fall back from that situation. I just want to help people how Genesis has helped me.
From my perspective, it is through stories that we understand what our work is all about, and it's a privilege for us to know Mackenzie's. Her story is one of many others that we can celebrate and treasure. As shared in the description, Genesis Youth Trust has supported rangatahi or young people for more than 20 years. Young people who have broken the law and committed offences. We exist to reduce the levels of youth offending in Auckland's most affected communities. We do this by offering a wraparound service, enabling youth to proudly transform their lives for themselves, their whānau, and community. The heart behind everything we do is to offer hope and restoration for young people who have offended and their families. This is reflected in our logo, which was gifted to us. Firstly, ngā koe nui, ngā koe ora, the symbol of the larger heart representing Genesis, supporting and embracing the smaller heart in the middle, our youth. Secondly, te rere o te manu, meaning the full flight of the bird. This is symbolic of our youth in full flight, with strength and confidence to soar to their highest potential. Thirdly, ngā tai o te moana nui a kiwa, the waves or the tides of the Pacific. The 4 strands on the right-hand side represent the transformational journey of our youth that they undergo, which impacts on all 4 components of their hauora. Te taha wairua, their spiritual well-being. Te taha tinana, their physical well-being. Te taha hinenaro, their mental well-being. And te taha whānau, their social well-being. The 4 strands converge together at the apex of the heart, where the young person is soaring like a bird and riding the crest of the wave. The services that we provide to our young people, like Mackenzie, are based on our 7 Genesis values of manaaki tangata, servanthood, aroha mutunga kore, unconditional love, tika me te pono, trust and integrity, wairuatanga, doing what it takes and a sense of calling and purpose, whakamana rangatahi, empowering our youth and families, whakakotahi, teamwork, kaeke ki te taumata, excellence. Our organisational values underpin our practice and commitment to providing best services for those that we work with. My colleagues and I are deeply passionate about the work that we do, the young people that we have the privilege of working alongside, navigating with them towards brighter and hope-filled futures. Co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind, is a theme that has resonated with me since I first learned of the summit. The concept of leaving no one behind speaks deeply to the mahi that we engage in, the empowering of rangatahi or young people to build resilience, unpack hurts, face and overcome inequities, and to face accountability in an environment of support and aspiration. We are often a voice that challenges institutional inequities, looking for and proposing solutions while advocating for the critical needs that we see in our community. In my role, I am responsible for the training and development, looking to the how we undertake our work, the assessment tools that we use, and the interventions that we engage our young people in, asking big questions and ensuring that we are agile in our approach as we learn from our challenges and successes, ensuring that we have a balanced and grounded conversation about how we can improve as a service. How do we ensure that our people don't feel like, as Mackenzie said, another number on the list? Anne said, it's all about Whakafanongatanga. This is a fundamental element of our indigenous culture, as Maori, a value that speaks to the importance of relationship and connection. It is grounded in the idea that we are more than individuals, that we come from whānau or families. Whakafanongatanga recognises that our identities are grounded in connection with people and places. How does this differ to how we often hear of people being spoken about in the sector? Those that we work with, our clients, service users, or other terms associated with those seeking support. We often refer to those accessing services like ours as tangata whai ora, which loosely translates as a person who is seeking health or well-being. An aspirational term that acknowledges that those that we work alongside are on a journey of betterment through the acquiring of strength, resource, and perspective. As many of us will know, the labels used within our helping professions aren't always as empowering. It's not uncommon for us to hear labels like drug addict, recidivist youth offender, educationally disengaged, delinquent, problematic, and the like. Young people, like Mackenzie, are often allocated disempowering labels that serve no purpose and achieve nothing other than to perpetuate inequality and further entrench endemic marginalisation. Mackenzie has been involved in 42 incidents, including assault, dishonesty, and family violence offences. An important part of her story of change, but not incidents that define her. Let's remember how Anne, her youth mentor, spoke of her. Anne showed her what a healthy relationship was like with another person and was dedicated in her role modelling of that. She spoke of her as being an amazing young person and shared that in working with young people, if you believe in them, then they will believe in something bigger for themselves. Finally, she said, we are all in it for the heart that we have for young people. From our perspective, it is important that those that we engage with know that we are genuine and that we want to do what's best by them. Professional boundaries and responsibilities are important, and they are prioritised. However, as we represent cultures that are grounded in relationship and hospitality, we need to balance those values when working with our people. In our journey with young people, with rangatahi, we use the terms that align with our intent and reflect the immense potential that we see in them. Firstly, when we talk about them, we use their name. If we are unable to do that and privacy is needing protection, we refer to them as rangatahi, simply a young person, not a youth offender or a delinquent, a term that does not have any negative connotation. As we know, there is power in the words that we use. I'd like to take some time to speak to some of the finer details of what we do, how we look to make that change through both our clinical approach and values like Whakafanongatanga. Most of the young people that we currently work with are referred by the New Zealand Police or Oranga Tangata, the New Zealand Government Ministry for Children, following a proven criminal offence or offences. Some rangatahi are referred following a family harm incident, where it's believed that the young person may have instigated the incident or responded violently, resulting in a police call-out. However, in these particular instances, no charges are laid. Rangatahi can be referred under one of three pathways. Once we receive a referral, we screen this information to make sure that we are the best service to meet the needs that are presented. Sometimes this isn't the case, so we will go back to the referrer to see what other options are available. Once a referral is accepted, it is allocated to a team or service. The next bit is where whanaungatanga comes into the mix, where we often need to persevere with building connection, rapport, and trust. That doesn't always happen straight away and understandably can take time. For Mackenzie, as I understand, it took Anne about a year to truly start working with her. Once we do have the chance to connect, we go through the process of obtaining informed consent and engage the young person in an assessment process, drawing on specific evidence-based tools that help us to understand their specific needs. The assessment process is largely led by our registered social workers, who both lead the assessment phase and drive the intervention plan, connecting the needs identified in the assessment and deciding what that looks like alongside the multidisciplinary team, the young person, and their family, deciding how we can best meet the needs identified and who has the best skills for that component of the intervention. In our service, rangatahi have access to a dedicated social worker, youth mentor, and a counsellor, depending on what their needs are at a particular time, but also reflective of who they build connection with and rapport with. Each phase generally lasts 3 to 6 months. Once each phase is completed, this process of assessment and intervention planning is repeated. Under some pathways, this can happen for up to 6 phases or 2 years. Once needs are largely met, the young person is supported to move on from our service, where their achievements are celebrated. In the situations where there are needs that need specialist support, During the phases of intervention or exit, we work with the young person to make sure that those connections are made. The work that we engage in and the support that we offer can be challenging. While the main focus of our intervention is to often reduce the likelihood of further offending, this is connected to various other factors: mental health, housing, access to education, employment, addictions, protection concerns, and various other needs. All of our kaimahi, or staff, that engage in this work are required to engage in internal supervision with their operations manager. We also have a skilled clinical lead or senior position in each team that is focused on the quality of our assessments and intervention plans. Our organisation will also pay for each of our kaimahi to engage with an external clinical supervisor, having the opportunity to talk to a skilled registered professional from outside of the organisation. These supervisors, both internal and external, support our staff to navigate their practice, their professional development needs, and offer support in any other areas that impact on how they undertake their work. The psychosocial assessment approach that we largely use is the Youth Level of Service Case Management Inventory Australian adaptation, in short, the YLS CMI AA, a validated risk needs assessment and case management tool. The YLS CMI assesses 8 criminogenic domains in the young person's life. This tool allows us to accurately identify specific areas of need and target our intervention accordingly. And there have been many benefits for our service as we've become adept at administering the tool with quality and accuracy. Having a score across domains allows us to track change and target interventions, which can be easily and quantitatively reported. This is often an appealing element when it comes to audit and quality assurance purposes. There are, however, numerous challenges that are important for us to consider as we look to how we might use the tool in the future. The first challenge is that the tool has not been validated for a New Zealand context, where we're largely applying it to an indigenous and migrant population. As a result, questions have rightly been raised with regards to the cultural appropriateness and responsivity of the tool. Additionally, the tool largely has a deficit focus, which contradicts our strength-based practice model, one that we strongly promote. The rather lengthy and rigid application can, at times, affect rapport and our intervention. These challenges are not unique to our service. Across the social services, we often draw on tools and approaches that are developed in other settings. It is fair and reasonable for us to ask questions about where knowledge comes from, the lens or approach that is being used, and how these may or may not reflect or articulate our perspectives of strengths and challenges within our unique settings and cultures. In recent times, we have had the opportunity to look at what has worked with this approach to assessment and intervention, and what the core challenges have been. We have seen how actuarial quantitative assessments can both support and inhibit quality clinical practice in our setting. What we have realised is that an actuarial approach needs to be complemented with a holistic, strength-based lens that is reflective of our cultural viewpoints. Our most recent pilot, rangatahi, has allowed us to do just that. In 2020, we identified that in some cases, when rangatahi had caused family harm, families were not willing to take the matter further and police did not initiate proceedings for an offence. In the words of our General Manager, Sergeant Rob Woodley, whakamana is translated as to enhance upon, to give authority or prestige to someone or something, to enable and to empower. And rangatahi is translated as a young person or younger generation. Whakamana rangatahi signifies protection and enhancement of the dignity and mana of a young person. This means being conscious of the dignity of others, responding positively to others, protecting and uplifting the dignity of others, and therefore uplifting your own mana or dignity. The first part of this approach is to draw on the Strengths and Difficulties Questionnaire, which assesses a young person's needs in 5 areas. The tool is described as a brief behavioural screening questionnaire that exists in several versions to meet the needs of researchers, clinicians, and educationalists. Each questionnaire consists of 25 questions assessing the following: emotional symptoms, conduct problems, hyperactivity, peer relationship problems, and prosocial behaviour. While there are benefits in using psychometric tools, it is important to recognise the flaws that come with prescriptive use and an over-reliance on results when making professional judgments. This challenge informed how the intervention phase of Whakafanongatanga was shaped, whereby psychometric testing is used through the use of the SDQ, combined with a strength-based approach through the application of Te Whare Tapawha, a model of the 4 dimensions of well-being developed by Sir Mason Drury in 1984 to provide a Maori perspective of health. The same 4 dimensions that are reflected in our logo are Te Taha Tinana, physical well-being; Te Taha Hinenaro, mental well-being; Te Taha Wairua, spiritual well-being; Te Taha Whānau, family well-being. 4 walls, the wharenui, or the meeting house, is a symbol of these 4 dimensions. The connection with the whenua, land, forms the foundation. We have sought to mitigate the issues raised in literature and reviews by ensuring that assessment information is brought back to the rangatahi and the whānau to discuss findings, gain their thoughts and insights, and to develop what the MDT's mahi will look like moving forward through collaborative development of the intervention plan. This balanced approach to assessment feeds into the same intervention approach as previously described. There is a strong case as to why we need to look at what we are doing and how we can do better to better respond to the needs that present to our service. At present, 69% of rangatahi identify as Maori and 18% identify with Pacific ancestry. As we look to important matters like cultural responsivity, we need to question if the tools like the wireless CMI and the SDQ are the right ones for us to be using in their current form. Tools that are largely not tested on our people during development and are generally not reflective of our unique strengths, challenges, histories, and cultural nuances. Cross-cultural validity studies are generally limited, and that is very much true in our context. Cross-cultural transferability is often not well understood. Some studies have noted that only 5 out of the 8 wireless criminogenic needs predict the likelihood of rearrest in some overseas settings. Recently, we have embarked on a project that has sought to understand whether there are issues of accuracy in applying these tools with our population and what it would take to improve that situation. For example, whether the assessment can be streamlined or contextualized for our context here in Aotearoa, allowing us to balance quality assessment needs with the needs to build quality connection and effective rapport. Our frontline workers are doing amazing mahi, and we have seen some great outcomes. However, as I often hear, we aren't there yet. To me, this means that we must be open to criticism, to evolution, to take on new ideas, and be open to closed chapters that are timed for the past. We cannot be complacent in what we have achieved through the delivery of contracts, nor can we be overly nostalgic. To do the best or our best, we must be committed to looking to research, revisiting our plentiful findings, and to hear the voices of our kaimahi and rangatahi. We must be ready to step into uncomfortable spaces that force us to reflect, learn, pivot, and adapt. I myself have been on an amazing career journey, often pursuing greater grounding in my own identity as a person with Maori, Samoan, Chinese, and Australian European ancestry. We at Genesis are very much on that journey of putting ourselves in a vulnerable position, looking at our achievements, but more importantly, how can we do better by our rangatahi, our young people? In closing, I would like to leave you with a whakatauki, a proverb that speaks to our heart for the rangatahi we work with and the potential that we see in them. Ko ngā rangatahi e nāianei, ko ngā rangatira a pōpō. The young people of today will be the chiefs of tomorrow. If you have followed this presentation in its entirety, thank you sincerely from all of us at Genesis Youth Trust. It has been a privilege to share a snippet of our story with you. We would very much value your feedback and questions via this platform. Please also refer to our website, and you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Ngā mihi nui, ia whawhatailava mo le awanoa, soifua.